It's Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell.
A great Arkansan. We have on the line with us Mr. Jeremy Rolland is back on the show. He's a great Arkansan. Jeremy, welcome to Conduit News Radio this morning.
Good morning, Paul. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing very well. Now, Jeremy, you are the owner of Triple R Bail Bonds, which is one of your many ventures, and you are quite the success story, quite the entrepreneur. And first of all, I just want to say thanks for taking risks out there and creating jobs.
I appreciate it. We've got some great people that's involved in our many businesses, but bail is, my first business and my most passionate one of everything that I'm involved in. It's the one that I'm really the most passionate about every day. So
I saw on Twitter that there is an effort to reform bail. And I wanted to have you on to talk about this because it seems that there are let me ask you this. Is there a movement to basically end the private bail bond business and somehow, I guess, rely on the government to do it? Tell us about that.
Yes, there's a huge push across the United States, and if your listeners, I know that many of them use Twitter. If they just search the hashtag bail reform, then they'll kind of see, myself, our company is fighting it on a day in and day out basis, many times up till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, getting in these utopia debates with people that support this bail reform, because it's extremely dangerous legislation, and it's peppering propaganda to people who really don't understand bail, and they're basing it around, poverty and race, and it's very misleading. And it's starting to gain a little bit of traction in the state of Arkansas, and in Pulaski County, they started it over the past weekend. It was a massive failure. I mean, and in New Jersey, the crime rate has spiked. They're trying to get this done with Senate Bill 10 in California. New Mexico has already passed it all, and it is a reward system for the criminal base of the world, to where there's no accountability and no deterrent.
Mm-hmm. So, Jeremy, you mentioned Pulaski County. So you mean they're trying? So in Pulaski County, are you saying that there are no private bail options in Pulaski County now?
There still is private bail options in Pulaski County, but it's on the very low end of the scale as far, because what bail does, Paul, is that it is a guarantee to the court system, the alleged victim. It is a contract between the bonding company and the court that the accused individual is going to show up for court each and every time until that matter is resolved. And what has happened over the last 10 years or so is that since the mid-'80s, the state of Arkansas and many states have failed to prepare for crime and population growth. So our local jails are being over-flooded. There's too many people, and they can't hold them. So in order to try to relieve that, they're just allowing a whole bunch of people to just be released out without any type of assurance that they're going to show up for court. And when that happens, many of them are not coming back to court. So that's just another warrant on the system and a burden on the entire court system. And then we have victims out here that are waiting their day in court, and the warrants are in the system, but now the system has become so overloaded that they can't take or want these people, that many of the warrants that are in the system are either county or surrounding counties only. And it's just crushing the criminal justice system. It's absolute anarchy to that I have ever seen when it comes to the court systems.
So we're talking with Jeremy Rolland. He is the owner of Triple R Bail Bonds. Oh, by the way, Jeremy, I met somebody in Russellville. We were up there for that special election that's now going to a runoff on March 13th. I met somebody who said they heard about Triple R Bail Bonds, an ex-law enforcement officer, on this program, and they called you and are now working for Triple R Bail Bonds. I thought that was pretty cool.
Absolutely. Yes, that's Mr. Jim Frost. He's a ex-Polk County deputy in that area. He's done a great job for us. I mean, he is, to give you a great example of professional bail. We had an individual that actually missed court out of Lawrence County, Arkansas, and we had to go through leaps and bounds to get the warrant changed to fit the area that the individual was in, was able to get them picked up, and we transported them all the way back from Oklahoma to Walnut Ridge, Arkansas at zero cost to the taxpayers. And that's really my point of what I'm trying to get out, is that when professional bail is used, the taxpaying citizens of Arkansas cannot lose. With Arkansas bail 1684, 201, and 207, action on bond in district and circuit courts, if your listeners Google that and read that, there's no way that taxpayers can lose when professional bail is chosen. But when someone is just released on their own recognizance and there's no accountability and no deterrent, the entire burden falls back on the taxpayer.
So I'm interested, what specifically did Pulaski County attempt to do, and how was it such a failure?
What they attempted to do was implement a thing that's called the Arnold Foundation software, which is, use you for an example. Let's say Paul is arrested today and he goes to jail in Pulaski County.
It could happen. I'm going to Little Rock. I'm going to Little Rock later today, so who knows? This could happen.
So they're going to put in your name, your date of birth, and your Social Security number, and it's an algorithm system that's going to spit out a point score. And this point score is going to tell the jailer whether or not you are a risk or not a risk, okay? And if your point score is low enough, then they're just going to have you sign a piece of paper and show you the front door of the jail, okay? Now, what has happened is that the system failed over the weekend, and it backlogged. No one could do anything. And because Monday was a holiday, no one could come in and fix the system until Tuesday. So there was massive backlog of people who could have, been able to use the phone and call a professional bondsman and make their own way out of jail, but it just completely failed and backlogged the entire thing. And it's an unreliable system, and we have got to get back to accountability and deterrent. And with this type of system, there's no one there to monitor anything. There's no one there to make sure that people are going to court. The system is highly unreliable. There are stories all over Twitter. There's countless amounts of information where individuals are running from another state on, high felony charges, and they're being arrested in another state on misdemeanor charges. They run them through the system, and nothing is showing up because there's no convictions there. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I see. They're not talking with each other. Yeah.
Right. It's a highly unreliable system that is going to cost a ton of money.
So what, man, I'm just trying to figure out, there's obviously money at stake here, right? I mean, if you get a city on board or a county on board with this potential new system, going away from the private bail, relying on the professionals, but somebody's making money, right, selling this software to the cities and counties?
Yeah, it's that too, but the biggest thing is that you're relying completely on your law enforcement, and you're relying completely on the taxpayers of that help fund that county general fund in that area, because all of this costs money, and it costs a lot of money. And it's just a financial burden that the private sector could take care of. With those two statutes that I mentioned earlier, that's the biggest thing, is that why are we going to put this burden on taxpayers when the private industry can handle it and has proven to handle it better and at no cost to the taxpayers?
Yeah, you raised some interesting points. I mean, you raised some great points, and I certainly agree with them. I mean, I don't understand what the big deal is. Are there any other parts of the state where they're considering this besides Pulaski County, or they've attempted this and then maybe walked it back?
Not at this time, but it's growing. I think the main reason why it's growing, Paul, is because when people think of bail bondsmen, they think of everything that they've seen on TV, which is so not right, because that's not how the professional bail is.
You mean you're not like Dog the Bounty Hunter?
No, and see, that's one. I bet I get 20 applications a year where it mentions what you just said, and that goes right into what into my shredder that I don't even consider that, because that's not professional bail. Well, professional bail, we are husbands and wives and small business owners. We have families. We establish relationships with our clients. We make sure that we know their family. We're reminding them about their court dates. We help them through the entire process. And then the part that people see on TV is less than 10% of what we actually do, because that only implements if they fail to go to court. What's happened over the, especially since 2009, 2010, is that we've just seen too much people getting involved in bail, trying to dictate bail instead of just enforcing the simple laws that are already there. With more reasonable bail amounts, then more people can gain release through professional bail, and we can make sure that these individuals are standing in the courtroom, because that is the entire goal of professional bail, is making sure that those 2 feet are standing in that courtroom each and every time until that matter is disposited. But now we've got to a point to where there's too many questions being asked by judges on, well, how much did you pay to get out of jail? At that point, what does it really matter what they paid to get out of jail, as long as they're standing there? And if they don't stand there, 1684, 201, and 207 gives 75 days and 120 days to find them. And if you fail to find them, then the law is clear that you have to pay that bond. So why can't we just get back to the simplistics of bail, and it would generate millions of dollars of revenue for the state of Arkansas and save county general funds a ton of money.
Hey, last question, and I'd love to talk about this again. We're talking with Jeremy Rolland of Triple R Bail Bonds. Last question, and this is kind of maybe outside of the bail issue, but we have seen an uptick in crime, and we have, prisons that need more funding and things like that. And I know, jail is different than prison and everything else. But do you notice that we are kind of letting people out early? Maybe they're not fully serving their full sentences. And I think that's because we just don't have the money to keep them in. And I think it's because we've over-leveraged ourselves and ourselves in other programs that are less important than keep making sure criminals stay behind bars and serve out their sentences.
I completely agree, and it's just a part of the ladder that we're seeing here. If someone can go into a general store and steal a Snickers bar and a Diet Coke, and then turn around and smack the court clerk in the face, and then be arrested and know, well, I'm just going to get released anyway. Look how of all the stories that's happened in New Jersey since they've implemented this statewide, the mental aspect of what it has done to society is just going to continue to grow, because when people know that I'm not going to be held accountable for that, there are some people that's been arrested 7, 8, 9 times in a week, and because of this system, they're just being released.
Wow. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Well, Jeremy, I appreciate you coming on the program and shedding light on this issue. We're going to keep following this. I know you're going to keep following this and keep us posted, and we'll do everything we can, okay?
Okay, thanks, sir.
All righty, thank you. Have a great morning. Folks, we got to take a break. Back in just a moment.